Hi, this is Jay Lee, and you're listening to 11 O'Clock Comics.
Look at that.
Perfect every time.
It's like an echo across the vastness of space.
Every damn time.
Yep. Cosmic transmission from Planet Tap. That's funny. Would you like to visit Planet Tap, or would you want to live there? I think I'd like to visit, but they ain't no hell way that I'm living on Planet Tap.
I think it's more of a vacation spot.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be fun, and the food would be good, but everybody cares about everything on that planet. I can't take it.
Plus, that'd be hungover. Too much drinking.
Everyone would be polite. God. They'd be like, "Oh,
yeah, can't have that."
Holy look, Chaim, you look great today. Stop it.
Oh my God! How dare you be positive and uplifting the folks?
Hey, everybody!
Plus, I'd lose my fantasy baseball skills.
Yes, you would.
I don't understand what that means.
Without a doubt, that's part of the admission.
I do know one thing though. There is one cosmic truth, and that is this is 11 O'Clock Comics, episode 869. Appropriate, no? It is our Book of the Month episode. We'll get into that in a few, but I am Vince B. Do not jump. Go ahead.
This wasn't what you were messaging us before, was it?
No. I didn't sign on for this with the cat. I did not. This was not part of the deal. If I knew this came with it, I'd be like, nah, done. But anyway, I'm Vince B. No, I wouldn't.
You are the enlightened Vince B. I am David A. Price.
I have looked into the future and seen that to be true because I am King Megatrip.
You're not King Megatrip. No way. I knew you were going to pick that. You're not. Matt King is King Megatrip.
I do have a snake dick, though.
Yeah, okay. Matt King is King Megatrip. Full disclosure, I had a dream.
I didn't say what kind of snake. I just said it was a snake.
I had a dream that Chris was doing this with us, and instead of Megatrip, he said, you know where this is going, right? He said MGA TRP, like RZA. Remember when he fucked up the RZA?
Oh my
God.
Oh
yeah.
This is really well written by this MGA TRP gentleman. But no, you're not Megatrip. No, you're Jason Wood, everybody. Here together for our Book of the Month. This has been a long time coming for just reasons, because this thing is a massive monster of a book. We've been I don't want to say plow, because I didn't read this thing fast. I took my time. That's why it took so long, because I didn't want to lose any of the detail. Man, there is a ton of it. It is Tales to Enlighten, the New Testament. Written by Matt King, illustrated by a whole mountain mess of really talented individuals. Wow. We'll get into it. Issued by the Mega Comics Society, and we're going to tell you all about it. But we have to let you know who made this thing happen. It has been sponsored by CheapGraphicNovels.com. CheapGraphicNovels.com. What more do you need to know? If you're in the market for omnibus, collected editions, trade paperbacks, manga, all that kind of stuff, go where the prices are low, cheapgraphicnovels.com, because you can get stuff you're looking for a lot cheaper than Amazon, drastically cheaper. I should have brought it up before. Maybe I'll just take a little trip there right now. Just looking at the homepage, we have Superman. It's an absolute Superman, Man for All Seasons, 40% off, $59.99. That's crazy. That's an insane, beautiful price. Avengers Omnibus Volume 3. This is the Alan Davis cover. $59.99. 40% off. What? And we have Batgirl Volume 8. I don't know what that is. Looks like Rebirth. The Joker War is only $10. That's 40% off. See the progression? 40, 40, 40. You're going to get 40% off on most of the stuff you want. Just go there. cheapgraphicnovels.com. And did you know that the Ice Cream Man Sunday Edition Volume 2 is solicited this month? Yes, indeedy. Gots to get it. The first one is just gorgeous. Do you have that, Jason?
No, sir.
I think you should get it.
Why not?
I mean, I read my first ever Ice Cream Man issue this week for you.
Oh, nice. Well, we'll talk about it after, in about 6 hours after we get into the details of Tales to Enlighten. But I am going to be Debbie Denise Downer, and I'm drinking Diet Pepsi.
That sounds like a man who understands what pleases him. No reason to be down on that.
Honestly, it's all we had. I didn't have time to go get some libations. So I'm running with what I have.
I am drinking some AHA lime plus watermelon sparkling water.
Does it say "Take on Me" on the bottle?
No, it doesn't. But dude, before Dap tells us what he's drinking, I got to tell you. So I'm at this work retreat this week, right? Mm-hmm. My COO is 30.
Bitch.
Oh, you all right?
You don't know his COO.
No. The keep talking. The power circuit tripped in the room. I gotta go flick this.
Oh, okay. So we're at this retreat, and my COO is 35. So we're talking about something. I said, we were talking about his daughter, and I said, oh man, when your daughters get in a few years, when it's time for their bat mitzvahs, we're gonna tear the roof off. I'm like, you better have, I want you to have like Tone Loc and Depeche Mode at your daughter's bat mitzvah. And he goes, without missing a beat, he's like, I don't know who they are.
Oh boy.
I'm like, I have never felt so old. Because again, this isn't like a 20-year-old that's like working with us. Like, he's 35 years old.
Should know both of those artists.
Oh, I know. I was like, come on, bro.
Yeah, he must live a very secluded existence. I mean, I know Tone Loc. I'm not a huge Depeche Mode fan, but experienced in their music. But, Tone Loc, I know the hits, right?
Oh, there were only two of them, but yes.
Right. I mean, if you ask me anything other than those two, I would be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure Tone Loc performs bar mitzvahs quite often.
I
doubt Depeche Mode does.
Tone Loc performs bat mitzvahs?
Yeah, Tone Loc is at that level where he now is at a place where he probably does parties like weddings, bar mitzvahs, birthdays. Because
so that's a thing to get like a
Oh,
real name for
thing.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm.
I just had birthdays. That's it.
Well, you were a man of meager beginnings.
Yes. Meager middlings, too. And probably meager fucking endings. But whatever. It's okay. I know who I am. I'm very comfortable with it.
You M's what you M's, and that's all that you M's.
That's right. Me and Popeye.
Aww. Look just like him.
Yeah. I got nice, thick forearms. What do you got there?
That's right. A gin and tonic with Empress Indigo Gin.
Okay.
Black.
Is there? By the way, I was today years old when I found out that a balloon just means a second full moon in a month.
Oh.
You didn't know that?
Did not know that.
Wow. So much for that 150 IQ. Kidding.
Why you calling him dumb?
I'm not, because he's not. You can't know everything. I could ask Jason 1,000 questions and he would not get any of them right because it's information particular to me. It's stuff that I'm interested in, which Jason is not. So that doesn't mean he's unintelligent. He's just not learned in the goofy shit that fills my brain.
I mean, you're selling me short, but that's okay.
No, I'm not.
I'll get over it. Well, you are.
Reminds me of an old.
All right. Okay. Who directed Bloodsucking Freaks?
No.
See, you don't know.
I mean, you're selling me short that way. I don't mean you're selling me short in that way.
Oh, you mean with the IQ?
Never mind.
Whatever. All right, here we go.
Let's carry on.
Carry on, good soldier, because we are going to be talking up Tales to Enlighten. Oh, the New Testament. This thing, my goodness, you can't look away. It is gigantic. And which reminded me of something. Are either of you, now my head is swimming after digesting this entire thing. Either of you familiar with the Codex Gigas?
I feel as though you mentioned it to me before, but
I have mentioned it before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Codex Gigas, also known as the Devil's Bible. This was a 13th century illuminated manuscript, actually the largest of its kind. The page length on this thing is a whopping 36 inches, hence the name Codex Gigas. Big, right? And it's thick, it's imposing. The contents, it's a crazy amalgamation of contents. It supposedly contains the sum total of all human knowledge to that point. It has the complete Vulgate Bible in it. It has the Encyclopedia Etymologiae from Isidore of Seville. It has the Chronica Bomorum, the Ars Medicinae treatises, 2 books by Constantine the African, Josephus's Antiquities of the Jews, and De Bello Iudico. All those books.
Internet. It was the first internet.
Okay, but there's a really cool story surrounding the Codex Gigas. Some of the odd things about this book, it's all delineated in Latin. All the pages are beautifully illuminated by a single hand. Here's the clincher, though. Illuminated by a single hand without misstep. There are no traces in this book of marks having been edited or reworked. The book is virtually flawless. If you were a calligrapher, even the best calligraphers, they get muscle spasms, or they get there needs to be an imperfection from something that has emerged from human hands. Like every G is not going to look exactly alike. That's a font. That's artificial intelligence. This book looks absolutely flawless in execution, right? Big brains, well, brains bigger than mine, have said that it would take 20 years for a single hand to complete the calligraphy in this book alone. 20 years of nonstop mark making. That's crazy, right? But the oddest thing about this book is that the scribe, he was a Benedictine monk known as Herman the Recluse, right? Guy was between a rock and a hard place. So the legend goes, right? He fucked up and he broke his vows. And they were going to kill him. They were going to wall him up alive, Tomb of Ligeia style, right? But to save his own skin, he made another vow. He wanted to create in a single night this tome that would contain all the sum total of human knowledge, an artifact that would bring glory to the monastery then and forever. But he bit off a little bit more than he can chew. Who would be able to do this in a single night? So what he did was he started sweating it, started getting nervous. He knew that he'd never finish in time. So what did he do? He sold his soul to the devil. And Lucifer showed up to finish the book in one night. Herman was so grateful that he included a full-page illustration of the devil in tribute to his savior, hence the tome's nickname, the Devil's Bible. Why am I bringing this all up? Because Tales to Enlighten, the New Testament, is the Codex Gigas of comics. This fucking thing is massive. It's imposing. But here's the clincher. It seemed to emerge fully formed out of nowhere. Like we were all down with Tales to Enlighten. We were talking it up, and it was great, and we digested it, and it was massive and beautiful and disturbing at the same time. And then it seemed like a couple weeks later, second one's coming out. I was like, holy crap. How does a book like this come to be? The logistics behind what I'm looking at here, they make my head hurt. Like, could you imagine being on the opposite end, coordinating all these art monkeys, trying to get all these pages and all these stories done? Not only coordinating, but writing all this stuff. Like, this book is a gargantuan undertaking. It just stops me dead in my tracks that it exists at all. Never mind, so hot on the heels of the first giant volume. It's crazy. Like, it's so impressive. Do you guys not feel the same way? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's well, and what's crazy is when we had Matt on to celebrate the first volume, we asked about would we get more, and he was pretty non-committal at the time about it, right? Like, he was like, I don't know, maybe, but I haven't really given it much thought. And then, like you said, from there to here, my God,
it was like light speed.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I think
because you're right. I mean, coordinate. You brought up something I didn't really think about, and I never really do think about when it comes to anthologies. When we talk about anthologies, a lot of times I feel like maybe, well, I don't want to speak for you guys, but I feel like now I maybe give short shrift to the editor, because there is such a process for getting all of these different creators to deliver and in a timely manner and put it all together and figure out the order of things. And then in this case, Matt, just like he did in the first one, does amazing interstitials, right? Like with all the fake advertisings and the commercials and the graphic design that brings it all together, which is in and of itself a Herculean task. And then he got, there's at least 100 commission pinup type things in the back, which again, he had to coordinate each of those, scan them, put them. I mean, it's a lot of work, man. A lot of work.
It's a ridiculous amount of work. But the result, I mean, you slap this monster tome on a table and you watch everyone in EyeShot begins to salivate at the thickness of the thing. Like, it is just, you can't look away. It's like Johnny Watt, right? It's like, holy crap, look at that. That is monstrous. Mm-hmm. But it wouldn't mean shit if the stuff inside wasn't of quality. And man, I mean, when you're traipsing through this book and the art styles are wildly different. Mm-hmm. There's everything from super real to experimental and loose and cartoony, and there's a Savage sort of Conan pastiche. There's a Warren era pastiche. Like, it's crazy. Obviously Marvel and DC, right? There's takeoffs on their aesthetics.
A lot of Jack.
Yeah, it's, and the faux ads. Not long into it, I'm like, well, this has obviously been inspired from the Church of Subgenius, right? That's their whole approach, is like these fake, well, some would say fake, advertisements and public service announcements alerting you to the fact that you need slack, right? You need to pony up and get with J.R. Bob Dobbs's philosophies. And that's a lot of what's in this book is just... it's not preachy, but it's like an informed, outlandish opinion on mind, God, universe, everything in between. And I was like, woo, I'm in my universe, bitches. I love this book so much. As I was going through it, I just started dropping down descriptions. Like, how am I going to describe this thing? Mm-hmm. How do you present what's in this book to someone who is a total neophyte on any of this stuff? And sacred scriptures, cosmic transmissions, a consciousness expanding infernal grimoire. I'm not going to mispronounce it this time. But one of the best ones, I think it's like Penthouse Letters meets Fate magazine. Right? Sacred, profane. It's a work of fiction on one hand. On the other, it's a real-world roadmap for spiritual awakening. You're going to crack open your pineal gland and your third eye when you read this thing. It's like the best psychotronic movie never made. It's sublime. It's scatological. I have something queued up that I forgot all about, that I was going to do this.
Scatological. Scatological. Scatological.
It's like I said, it's J.R. Bob Dobbs and the Church of Subgenius. It's William Burroughs. It's L. Ron Hubbard. It's Aleister Crowley, Robert Anton Wilson, Philip K. Dick, John Waters, and Xavier Renegade Angel, all wrapped up in one really entertaining ball. It's dirty, it's bawdy, it's filthy, but there's a component to it that expands consciousness. Like there's stuff in here that I don't want to sound like a woo-woo, but there are practices one engages to expand the scope of their intelligence. And there are things in this book that will do it if you take them literally. You guys are dead. What's up?
I'm listening to your soliloquy. I'm waiting for you to.
I don't want to be a soliloquy. I want bounce it back. Throw ideas at me, because that's what this book is. It's a whole mess of awesome ideas given life.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. No, please.
I think that is. I mean, it's massive. It's tome and a half. But I think mess is, and I say that in a good way. I'm not. There's if I have any issues with this, it is that it is so dense and there is so much to get through. I mean, it's almost, we're spoiled with it. I mean, the first book was great, and I don't want to have to. I really, really enjoyed the first book a lot, and I don't know if that's partly because it was visually handled by James Edward Clark, but here there was I had some stories in this anthology that were my favorites. I visually, artistically, I really enjoyed many of the stories in this book. There were a couple though where I just kind of lost my way, and I don't, and that's a me thing, because obviously Matt had a plan, and he reached out to artists that he knew could bring the different stories to life. But I think for one book, for one volume, for me, it was a little bit too much. I don't even want to say too much. There was a lot, and had it been split into two books, it probably would have been easier for me to consume. But again, that's a me thing, and this summer's been a pain in the dick, so I haven't been able to really kind of just focus the way I would like to. And
but you had a deadline, right? You had a deadline to read that for this episode. So the fact that it was too much meant that in the allotted time frame, you couldn't adequately or give it the justice that it demanded, right, yeah. Because you're under the gun. But if you had this book on your shelf and you can go to it whenever you want without having to have that looming deadline over your head, I think maybe you'd see it in a different light.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And it is something that, probably maybe later in the fall or even during the holidays, I would like to sit down and just reread it again and just really kind of enjoy it. I mean, we've had it for a minute. The Kickstarter came and went. It was successful, and it's not like this book just came out a month ago. But still, there is, and it's also a book where if you do read it and put it down and come back to it in a couple of weeks, you may, speaking from experience, you may kind of forget where you might have left off. And again, though, that's just a me thing. There's a lot here. It's a great book. I think some of the stories are stronger than others. Some of the pinups are absolutely fantastic. I love that it does exist, because it does spin out of the first volume, and Matt's going to continue telling this story, and I'm glad he is. But it's nuts, but it's nuts in a good way. Everything I'm going to preface or suffix everything with, in a good way. It really is just, it's a lot. And that's what I told him. I texted him. I'm like, there is so much to love about this book, but there's also so much of this book. It is immense.
Yeah, I'm going to throw this out there right now. No shade to James Edward Clark. I think this second volume is better than the first.
Okay.
Interesting. So you guys are on different sides. I don't know that I'll break the tie because I was going to say that for me, I mean, so obviously we don't have to discuss the first volume. I mean, we went deep on it, gave it tons of love, had Matt on. But yeah, like you're saying, I mean, the first one was a singular vision, right? It was Matt and JEC, James Edward Clark, working on it, and so this was by design different, right? And by design in part because there was no way that James was going to be able to draw hundreds of pages without taking years. And so it just became an anthology for that reason. And when it was going to be an anthology of artists, I first thought, oh, that's a bummer, because I really did enjoy the first one so very much. But I will say, I think maybe I'm leaning more towards Vince in the sense that once I got the book in my hands, I was just completely enamored with the variety visually,
right?
And that each story.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And I will say that for a book this big, meaning that there was going to be so many different artists involved, I thought that the average quality of the was pretty exceptional. I think I've read many much smaller anthologies in recent years that had a much lower hit rate for me visually, where it was like 50-50 maybe. And this, I can't think of many stories in it that I thought the visuals detracted from my enjoyment. So,
right.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't know that it's like picking your favorite kid. I don't know that I'm going to lean one way or the other, but I have to say that something I enjoyed about this being creatively very different than the first because of the fact that it was a product of so many different minds. And maybe the reason that appeals to me is that, like Vince said in his wonderfully put intro of all this is, there's so many different ideas in this, ranging from deeply well-researched spirituality to, the most over-the-top gonzo pornography and everything in between, that I think maybe having all the different artists collaborate on it makes more sense, right? Yeah. Like, because it is a book full of chaos and conflicting ideas and collaborating ideas going in and out and zigging and zagging with each other. And maybe that to me is better served by the visuals being startlingly different as you turn the page. So, so I don't know. I think both are beautiful in their own rights for sure.
Right.
I have about, when I was jotting down a few notes, there are about 8 stories that I feel outshine the others in the book, and it's an artist subjective, and we all know that. But there are absolutely some phenomenal pages in this book, without a doubt. And as I'm reading it, and I'm going through the different stories and reading the different origins and seeing what else Sam and Manfred are getting into. I wasn't necessarily missing Clark's work for the first. I was enjoying the variety that we were given, because some were extremely different as Vince. I mean, you got one. I think there's an AI story, but there's
that story can eat a dick.
I know. I was waiting to hear that, but you got the manga riff. There's so much to it. He really kind of just went balls out and whatever kind of genre as far as comics go that you're into, you're going to find something in here. Whether it's Savage Sword or whether it's whatever Shaky Kane is up to, or just somebody who wants to draw like Chris Anderson, who we got commissions from at Heroes last year. I mean, he's got a story in here which is one of my favorites. There's a ton in here, and because you have different artists drawing the characters that we pretty much only got to see Clark draw in the first book. I definitely enjoyed that variety aspect of it. I mean, it's an anthology, and the first book maybe you could kind of say is singular vision anthology, but there were stories were broken up. But here, I mean, it's a true anthology. You pretty much have Matt and some artists writing their own stories, but it's Matt telling these stories, which it's his world, and that's fine, and that's great. But he gets to work with so many different artists that are going to bring his creations to life. I do like when we see other artists draw characters that we're all fans of. I mean, Vince loves Ross Andrew drawing Spider-Man. I prefer Gil Kane. There's no wrong answer there, but we both get a Spider-Man that we enjoy, and that's that. I love this book for that we get some amazing artists drawing these fantastical stories, and we get some amazing pinups in the back where our names are on the letters pages. I love that Matt loves us enough to want to know what we think about this book, but kind of include us in the making of it, and that just, it brings me joy.
Well, I mean, here's some truth, right? If you showed this book to a superficial consciousness, right? Someone that focuses on the surface level, right? Inevitably, they're going to look at the Newer Testament crime stories, the part 2 of the Mega Origin by Johan Peterson. It's the real unvarnished story, let's just say. It looks like it was drawn on copy paper with, a marker, and it's real scratchy, and it's low level. I shouldn't say that, not low level. There's a naivete about it. There's no visual wizardry in it. It's very to the point, but it looks like a comic that somebody made between science class and gym. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like a high school student just had an idea in his head, in his or her head. They had to get it out. But this is the story that's going to stand out because everything else is trying to see. I think it's awesome that, and this story is very much needed because you have, without contrast, it's all the same, right? You have indie sensibilities in this book. In fact, every publishing house there's a pastiche for it in this book, right? There's Image, DC, Marvel, the Marvel black and white magazines, Warren, literally like the old school Zap Comics, underground aesthetic. Like every touchstone in comics is represented in this book, including AI, which I hate the AI story, but I understand why it's in here, and I think it was a neat experiment. And considering the themes of that story, okay, it makes sense to do it that way. I just don't like AI. That's it's the devil. But this Peterson story is just as valuable, if not more so, than all the other ones because it gives you a contrast, a juxtaposition of art styles. You look at all this, and it's just it may not be polished, but I think it's essential for this volume. I really do, and I love the story anyway. I think it's neat. There's an enthusiasm and a life in these pages that obviously the AI doesn't have, but some of them they look like they were just, I mean, they're drawn well, but there's no spark in some of them. In this Peterson story, it's alive. There's enthusiasm in it. So you knew I was going to focus on that story, right? Mm-hmm. I just think the diversity of visual voices in this book is absolutely freaking amazing.
I agree.
Oh, for sure.
Obviously, like Dap, I gravitate towards some styles more than others, but that isn't to say that the ones that really aren't in my wheelhouse don't resonate with me. They do. It's all very accomplished stuff. But, I mean, we have our sacred cows, right? And more often than not, it's insane how just visually diverse this book is. It hurts my head to think about what it took to assemble this thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't look over people's shoulders when they're working on your stuff. If you're a writer and you commission or you solicit, someone to illustrate your words, it's like you really can't be looking over their shoulder. You have to give them some semblance of free reign in which to create, because no one wants to wear shackles when they're creating. That's not conducive to anything. So just the fact that the pinups alone would be a nightmare. And I know we're focusing on Matt King a lot here, but this is his baby. Right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Channeled through the hands of a whole mess of people. Yeah. So, I mean, let's just to get into the stories of this book. We'd be here for 6 hours, but there's a centerpiece to this book, and it is the origin of Megatrip.
Yeah.
Who's Megatrip, you're asking? Well, Megatrip is Sonny J, a.k.a. the Jesus, Son of God. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he becomes Megatrip after donning the Lady Triphard's the Helmet Majestic. And I say the, stressing a little bit towards the end, it's because the extra E in the is the Genesis Peorage Topi speak. Her used to enjoy adding that extra E to the, just to make it his own, right? Or her own amalgamation. So how did Sonny J come to possess said helmet? Well, he was romantically linked to a sultry cyborg named Maggie.
Yes, sir.
But unfortunately, he didn't treat her very well. And she left.
No,
she hooked up with Lady Triphard, who was found worthy to wear the pyramidal helm majestic and could fire lasers from her nipples. That's some awesome stuff. You could fire lasers from your nipples. Respect. They had a thing, and they were eventually captured by the Sixth Commandment murder masters. And unfortunately, Lady Triphard, she freed Maggie, but she was implanted with a black magic parasite. Maggie ran away to get Sonny J, who had a very abrupt change of heart. Like she kicked him out, and she runs back to him. Well, he is Jesus, right? Unfortunately, Lady Triphard died upon their arrival. But thanks to the power of the Helmet Majestic, the pair escort Lady Triphard's body to Outer Alpha, which is heaven. And the Omnifather, also known as God, Sonny J's father, he gives him a pretty cold reception. But he changes his tune after his son, donning the helmet, saves the place when the dormant black magic parasite hiding in Lady Triphard's corpse starts to tear up the joint. Sonny J's buddy Bruce Chi, this being with a hand for a head, he died in the kerfluffle. But Mr. J works his magic and saves him, but his arms were reduced to nothing but bone. So Megatrip was born, and now he and Maggie, now a cyborg leather nun, hope to use their gifts to spread the Dharma. But they need to be trained, which is another story. And then Judas enters the picture. They go to the School of Nine Dimensions, which is this otherworldly dojo, and the logo is the fucking Shaw Brothers logo. And I was like, God damn. We're in magic territory right here. And it goes on from there. It's intensely detailed. There are permutations to the story that I don't know if we should reveal, because Maggie has an alter ego. Maggie's my favorite character, by the way. I love Maggie. But
we get her origin story.
Yeah, she's not only Maggie. She's someone else. Think biblical. Mm-hmm. And Megatrip's penis, Daniel Dick, cute little bugger, magic penis. He has.
We also get that origin story.
Yeah, he has his origins. Think temptation. Think original sin, and you may that's close to where all this stuff is coming from. It's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's freaking brutal. Like, I didn't feel bad for the character, but that had to hurt. It really had to hurt. And then all of a sudden he turns into a penis. It's like, whoop, right onto the mega trip. Meow. Oh my goodness. But you can laugh at this stuff, but can you freaking imagine if you nudged this book to an orthodox someone very rigid in their beliefs, like they would do the what is it, the jihad. They would go after Matt like, what, this person is the devil. Because in
the world that we live in now, where they're banning books for almost like any myriad reason, like imagine plopping a copy of this down into local libraries and just being like, just let it sit there, just to class up the joint. I mean, plus, like, even the interstitial ads and stuff are just so wonderfully offensive. Like, there was one dude, I nearly pissed myself. Our first orgy.
Yes, that's my favorite one.
Holy shit! For the people playing at home, it is a close up of a Renaissance painting of Jesus and Judas, and I don't know which painting in particular it was, but it's
one of them.
It's one of the thousands that were made in the Renaissance.
No doubt funded by the Medicis. Exactly.
And it's called, the ad says our first orgy. And then there's a word blue with Judas saying, "You're right. Every time I rub your cock, your head lights up because Jesus is a fucking halo." And then at the bottom it says, "I wasn't prepared for the second coming."
I was. But
holy shit!
In that same
point, if someone saw that, if someone in Georgia or Texas saw that page, like, they would want to arrest Matt for indecency.
I don't think they arrest. They want to shoot political opponents just because their views are different. They wouldn't want to. They'd want to rub him out. I mean, he would need armed guard 24/7. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy, but. In my flights of fancy, I see this book, something devastating happens to the United States or the world, right? And humanity goes underground for a little while, comes back, and someone finds this book, and this becomes the new Bible. That would be awesome, because the world would be a much friggin' better place. Just saying. I don't mean to offend anybody, but that's what I do.
Yeah, it's so transgressive. I mean, there's that one story where, like, the witch is using a skull as a vibrator. I mean, it's just.
But I mean, we're dancing around it. But there's a scene in here where Adam. I mean, I think it is the most outrageous story of the bunch. There's a scene in here where after the Omnifather, which is a little bit Odin, a little bit Zeus, like it's God, so it's all of the pantheon, the patriarchal pantheon wrapped up into one. He extracts Adam's rib and creates the lady, and later on there's a quartet, a sexual endeavor between a quartet and Adam. I guess we can say it, right? Sure. Adam's going down on Jesus, and it's not like it's not like implied or suggested. He's loving it. He's there's penises flying around, little winged penises, little cherub dingies,
cherub cocks.
Yeah. So good.
And then the punchline, or not the punchline, but the payoff is we get Daniel Dick. And he has one tooth, and he's so happy. He's perpetually happy. Well, it's Jesus' dick. Why wouldn't you be happy all the time?
That's right.
It's true.
I mean, Jesus gets his fuck on a lot, so I mean, it's
but
he stays busy.
We're focusing on the sacrilegious aspect of this book, the very extreme stuff designed to delight those who have no attachment to this stuff and offend those that do. But there's also a component on comic books, the medium itself, and collecting said comic books, because Megatrip has a comic collection.
Yep.
And
yeah, we should have set that up. The opening story, the intro story, is actually drawn. I think it's a beautiful touch. It's drawn by JEC, so you're getting the same visual. It kind of sets it off, and then it's them hanging out in the room, and there's a long box of comics, and they start opening them up, and supposed to get the vibe that
Sam starts opening them up.
Issues from the long box, which I think is just a wonderful touch.
Yeah, they'll pull an issue out of the long box, and God will be like, "Oh, I never should have gave him that one," and then you actually walk into the story from that issue, and then in another chapter, another book will be pulled out. It's like, "Oh, I remember that one. This is what," and then you see the story from that one. It's a really neat framing device, and even more so because it's not just once. It pops up at a number of instances through the book. Illustrated, and I suck because I didn't take note of the illustrator, and I should have.
For which thing?
For the comic book pages. The that's not James Edward Clark.
No.
We should give credit where it's due. And just finding something in this book is like ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad he numbered the pinups, but
Jeff Robertson
is
the interstitial page artist.
Did he do Jersey Gods? No. What did he do? But let's see who did this, because I find this chapter, I cannot look away from it. It's chapter 3, Newest Testament of Sins and Sorcery by Bill Couture. The visuals in this chapter are absolutely unbelievable. Megatrip riding a cosmic dolphin into heaven with Maggie shirt open on a dolphin. It's outrageous. It's insane. And then when we get to see the black magic parasite just emerge, like, that's nuts, dude. I want a vinyl of that black magic parasite.
Nice.
All big and bulky and stuff. Yeah. I wish he got Skinner to do something for this. Skinner would have just destroyed a story in here.
Oh, and I was thinking too, it would have been nice maybe if there's a volume 3 to see our boy Falpy get up in here.
Oh, he's perfect for this book.
I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But a tip of the hat to David. There's one character in here that no doubt would have been a twinkle in Gil Kane's eye, without question. And that's Core, Heaven's Assassinator, the psychedelic barbarian. I'm looking at this. I was like, Gil Kane would have obliterated this character. He would have made it his own. Yeah, and we get a little bit of the lineage, because Core is father to Sam, the Devil's grandson. Core has a very ignoble ending, but did his duty and sired the grandson of the Devil, Sam. So, I mean, Sam's everywhere in these books.
Yes, it's homie.
Yeah, and it's neat that you get to see the lineage. Like, where'd Sam come from? Okay, here's the story right here. It bounces around the timeline, but I love it. The Dark Knight pastiche in Coke Knight, oh my God. When he jumps and he does the point, it's like, that's Frank. But there's a story called Coke Knight versus King Seaman.
Yeah.
SEA, like Poseidon Seaman, men. And there's, Seaman's going to drop his load, stuff like that. So it's like bathroom humor.
Yeah, it's like a pro wrestling pastiche for me.
Yeah, but the art in that chapter is amazing. Yeah, I love it. It's very...
Remind me of Gofa.
Yeah, it does look like Gofa a little bit. Yep, but it's very
Cripps.
Yes, very loose, and I thought this going in. I mean, it gets dirty in spots.
Oh, for sure.
No, it gets really dirty, but it's not constant. right? It's not a
you gotta
constant
breathe it.
stream of nudity and penetration. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of that in here, but King is so.
I think you're playing loose with the. It's pretty constant. Like I don't I mean, what is? It depends on how you define constant, but the vast majority of the stories have some kind of significantly graphic violence or sex or both.
Well, man, since his
violence,
inception
yes.
has been, revels in sex and
Oh,
violence.
I think
this
that's what makes one of the things that makes this book great. I'm just saying, like, it's not like there's just straight up stories that don't have some kind of edge to them.
I would kind of like to see all of the faux advertisements in their own book. Not taking them out of this, but if they were all in one slim, well, not so slim, but maybe like a hardcover volume of just the faux advertisements and church-based screeds and stuff like that. I think it would work really, really well. They don't get lost in here. They're the grooves in between the tracks, right? You need those grooves, otherwise it's only one song.
Right.
But
yeah, I agree. I think it's great to break things up, but I do think, given the size of the book, if you're under pressure to read it quickly, you may lose the joy of the surrounding interstitials, right? That's the risk.
Yeah. And the Warren pastiche, I got to give it up for Santos Zeballos. Oh my God! Yes. Oh my God! These pages look like they were ripped from like 1973. Yep. Could work for Skywald as well, but the way that the credits are laid out at the bottom of the page, that's dead on Warren. Dead on. But I would not blink if I saw this in an issue of Nightmare or Scream. It fits that aesthetic as well.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. Sexy ladies. It's everything in this story is just so gorgeously rendered. Those horses. Oh my God. Yeah. I don't know if these pages are. I wouldn't buy them anyway. But I mean, if I would love to see these pages if they existed in the real world, if they weren't digital. I would love to see this art super up close, just to see. Try and
I'm sure I'm sure just given the amount of artists involved, some did it digitally, some did it traditionally, right?
Yeah. It's nuts, and even the typography is really well done. Which again, it was a crapshoot because I'm guessing that I didn't look on the inside credits. Did one person do all the type lettering in here? See, that's dangerous. If you get somebody that isn't attuned to the wonders of typography, and they consider it an afterthought, you're not going to get a book that looks like this. Like, all of the typography in this book is awesome. I don't want to say tasteful because some of it's.
It looks like Jeff Robertson is the interstitial artist, but then it also, I didn't see below, fake cover designs are Joel Lohler, so maybe that's who we. So
I'm talking even within the stories themselves.
No, I know, but earlier you were like, who did the covers, and I said it was Jeff Robertson, but it may be Joel Lohler because he's credited as the fake cover design. So. Yeah,
there's a case right there for credits being applied to the stories as they begin.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because it's kind of hard to keep, just because the book is so massive, it's kind of hard to keep flipping back to those pages to see who did what.
Right.
But some of them do have credits. And another thing we didn't mention, this book is very plugged in to the world of music.
For sure.
There's the majority of the stories have some kind of reference to a particular song. Many songs. The one that stood out to me was he cites The Clash on a number of occasions in this book. Again, if you didn't have my heart from the get-go, you would have captured it when you bring up The Clash. Like, okay, right? And so on. Like, there's a ton of musical references. This book could come with a soundtrack if you just take note of every time a song is mentioned, and it's done in footnote, which is awesome. Just get them all down, make your own digital mixtape. That would be awesome to accompany this book.
For sure.
You get an auditory flavor to go along with the visuals.
That was the. I really would have loved, especially in a book this thick, page numbers for the stories. But there's the one interstitial where this is when they took out that one artist drinking in the future. He's like, you remember that guy Marvel fucked over? And he's like, which one? I was like,
yeah.
There are things almost on every page that are going to elicit a chuckle or just make you laugh. It's not. There is so much to enjoy about this book. It's so weird. I don't know if this is something that I would have checked out had we not read the first one, or had we not met Matt online through the Kickstarter. But he really, obviously Matt loves the medium, and he's working with people who seem to enjoy it as well, and we're absolutely the better for it. There are so many I could just flip through it, land on any page, whether it's a story or an ad, and it's just it elicits a reaction from me, and more often than not good, but it's just he I don't know, like I don't know what like I'm curious to see Matt take on something just like we've been enjoying, like Carl Starks can kind of mess around in any kind of whether it's horror, whether it's action or animals. He can kind of just work within a concept. I'd love to. I mean, I don't want this to stop, but I'd love to see Matt's take on other aspects in the medium, whether it's, I mean, there's superhero. There's a little bit of everything in here, so you can't just say, "Oh, I'd love to see him do superheroes." Yeah, well, he's kind of done superheroes between these two books. There's just he seems to be able. He seems adept at a bunch of different genres. Again, I'll just say it, but it's insane. And I know we're obviously not going to go story by story. Never mind it's as big as it is. But this is also something that you really, we say it enough, but this particular book, I don't want anyone to not. I don't want to deprive anyone from the enjoyment they'll get if when they check it out themselves. Because we're also trying to explain things that if you didn't see it, if you don't know what's on the page, that you may lose something. It's kind of something that you definitely have to see to enjoy. But I think, as long as your sense of humor can take it, I think everybody should try this book.
I would love to see a cargo load of this book dropped WKRP style over some Middle Eastern country, some very, very strict, regimented Middle Eastern, and just sit back and giggle as the shit hits the fan. Like, I think legit, there would be some people that would flat out die reading this book. This book could kill someone who's...
Man, they get the vapors.
No, someone whose worldview is very attuned to what they were taught, the beliefs in whatever magical system of mumbo jumbo they believe. This could crack some weaker constitutions. I mean, even in our country, we said it before. If you drop this book down south, oh my goodness, man, it would be amazing to see.
You could
blood in the streets, man.
You could heat entire neighborhoods with the hate.
Yes,
filled heat coming out of someone's body.
I love that though. If you're going to go for the throat, you don't pinch, you tear, right? Yeah. So
I agree. I mean, absolutely.
And that's
I think that's part of it, right? I mean, and again, we've had Matt on the show. Like, Matt is he's a nonconformist, right? He wants to push against the grain.
I don't blame him. Yeah.
And he's an anarchist, right? And that's he's trying to get those messages out. I mean, this is just the way he views the world. But the cool thing about it, and just as we said with the first volume, is that he finds a way, I think, to be unendingly entertaining while dealing with a lot of these issues, right? Like I will say that I love reading comics that are wildly creative and orthogonal to the things I've seen before. This fits into that, but where he gets huge wumba pluses for me is that I also enjoy reading the story. I laugh. It's cohesive in its own way. It all connects and makes sense, and I appreciate that, because there's nothing wrong with somewhat less linear, impenetrable work if it's expressive and artistic in its own right, and I've certainly enjoyed a lot of that too. But this just hits me right. Like, this is like my sweet spot. Like go to the extremes, do crazy stuff that would make old ladies pass out and preachers die of a heart attack, but do it in a way where, again, there's a level of quality and consistency that I think is that shines through, and you got me for life. I mean, this is that good. And the fact that we're kind of like, our minds can race about who else we'd love to see get involved is also a compliment to it. Like as we were talking, I'm like, oh man, Ben Mara needs to be in volume 3.
Well, yeah, there's a art style in this book that's close to what Mara
for sure.
does.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's the Garden of Eden story, right?
Yeah.
That looks a lot like Mara. And again,
totally.
I will tell you who it is. Let's see.
The Garden of Eden is hold on, I have the table of contents here. Hold on a second.
Forbidden Fruit, the story's called.
Yeah, it's Christopher Koltzau.
Nice. There's an image in here. Not in one story. There's an image of Hitler with a massive penis, just dragging on the ground penis. But within the same story, there's a double-page spread with Donald Trump banging his own daughter.
Yep.
And them eating babies.
Yes, and the scat play, the tube being shoved up.
Yep. And also, and Kim
Yes.
Jong Il is massaging Trump's prostate.
Yeah.
So good.
See, if you can't laugh at this shit, I mean, it's amazing. This is exactly my worldview. I laugh at most shit.
Yeah.
It's when these people get really, really dangerous that the laughter stops. But for the most part, there's not a whole lot of those kind of entities in the world. I mean, you know who they are. But like televangelists and all that shit, you gotta laugh at it because these people are so convinced that their stupidity is real.
For sure.
Right, but the thing is, they believe they have it all figured out, and that they picked the right horse. There's no horse. There's just us, right? And that's what I love about this book. In a sense, it cracks open everything and makes fun of pretty much everything.
Right. It's I was going to say some.
Yeah. Your microphone's
It's
off.
really. No, it isn't.
Yeah, it was.
We
missed a bunch of stuff, but go ahead.
It must have been I was saying that that I was going to call it subversive, but it's not subversive at all. But what it is it is it's just a rant against idolatry in all of its forms.
Oh, yeah. If you can't laugh at the shit that goes on this planet, just dig a hole and bury yourself, man, because it's only going to get worse. Give mankind a chance, and they'll fuck it up. And I think it's true, right? At every turn, we have either exploited or screwed up or just plain missed the boat on a lot of things that could have changed this planet, whether for greed or whatever. And it's a joke. This whole ball is a joke. And I think this book taps into that. You can
think like I was going to say most faiths, including Judeo-Christian faith, would have you believe that God made man in his own image, right? But yet so many of those faiths are predicated on us repenting for sins that we commit that presumably offend God. And that that's such that doesn't, right?
Yeah, but God is fucking in this book. And his son is fucking.
That's what I mean. But
right?
if you're going to be literal, about man being created in God's own image, then God be fucking, God be smoking blunts,
Sure.
God be
Space cocaine.
partying. Like that's
Right.
right.
Yeah. And again, I had to giggle where, Matt King doesn't shiv. He depicts Barbara Gordon as this, punky, sex obsessed, space coked out whore. and the Jim Gordon lookalike is just like, yeah, have a nice time. and Coke Knight's here. He's going into town. He's got it. And yeah, he doesn't suffer fools, and everyone is a target in this book. And I think it's a healthy book.
Yes.
If the world was built on this book, you'd have a whole lot less of the nastiness going on that we have. Like, no one's going to ignite a jihad for anything in this book, right? Because the whole book is built on a foundation of ridiculousness and not taking the world seriously, or the universe seriously. Really, it's not just the world; it's everything, right?
Right.
So, oh man, what a worst! And I was really 100%. My head was spinning after I finished this thing. And it was a constant state of euphoria, like the giggles. Every chapter I'm reading, I'm just laughing like an idiot. It brought me great joy.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Without a doubt. I think that, and another aspect is that, for you Shaky Kane completists, I love that, there's a few pages by Shaky Kane, but it's also in a book that might introduce somebody to, like, Schlepzig or Oleg Green, or just somebody that you're not familiar with because they drew an incredible story in this book. And I which is a good reason to support anthologies, because you're going to be introduced to something new, hopefully. But this was a hell of a project, and I'm super glad that Matt saw it all the way through.
Yeah, you need to get Al Gofa for the next volume, though, because like you just said, we backed that Dagger anthology. Yeah, I would never know about the work of Al Gofa if it wasn't for that anthology. Now I scoop up everything that guy does. Yep, I think he's amazing. And I would never have known had I not bought Dagger. So, and this book too. There's a number of artists now. They're on my radar. Yep. I'm so old that I can't remember names. So what I do is I have a little, the sticky notes that you put on your desktop. Yeah. I have sticky note on my desktop with all names of artists that have impressed me, like in this book. And as I'm going on the web, I'll just copy the name and do a search here and there, like when I have some downtime. That's how I do. It's how I process. I can't remember all the. Just remembering, taking note of all of the creative people in this book. Get out of here! I couldn't remember all these names. It's crazy.
I'd love to see EPHK do a story. He's so naughty, and his visual style would be great. Like, that'd be awesome. And there's just a ton of people. I mean, I'd love to see Matthew Allison. I'd love to see our boy Allison do a story, right? I mean, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. Mayhap.
I'd love to see Vince Bizzle do a story in here. You'd be perfect for it.
I'd need a fold out because I would like to draw Jesus's dick in exacting detail.
Okay.
I know Matt's going to listen to this, so Matt,
make it happen first. Make it happen. Woo!
Why don't you draw a core story?
I would do a Maggie story.
Yeah, I know you would.
Yeah, I just, there's something very, well, I love Naughty Nun movies. I have
shocker
many examples of that genre. And there's just because it's the sacred and the profane smacked together. It is one thing in which we're all attuned, sex, and another thing which we're told to be attuned to, just bumped up together, and it reduces everything to this delicious little dirty aperitif. I love it. But anyway, so Tales to Enlighten. Woohoo! The New Testament. Do we have anything else to say about this book? Other than it's fucking awesome.
I meant to do, I was meant to look up how people can get it, actually.
Nice.
Hold on, because I know it's not right, and get it. So, hold on a second. So it's Etsy. Etsy the best way, I think. I think Matt's store. Yeah. So if you just go on Etsy and you type in Tales to Enlighten, you'll get to Matt's Etsy page, or his Etsy page is King Mega Trip. But you can get Tales to Enlighten, the OG book, and this book, and he also of his friends' works too as well.
Yeah.
Speaking of his friends, and as we mentioned earlier, James Edward Clark will have a Kickstarter soon of his own called Pissant Apocalypse. I'll post the YouTube link to some of the preview art that Matt sent. I'll share it on the Slack.
Why don't you both send me those links and I'll include them in the episode thread for this.
You got it.
All right.
See how we do? Do it through the Slack, please.
Yep.
Nice.
Okay.
Tales to Enlighten the New Testament. It's 4-color spiritual technology, and it is amazing. If you don't have it, you're not complete. So go get it. I'm guessing that it's not going to be the last you hear about this book.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So there we go. Matt, thank you for putting this together, and get your ass working on the next one. Nice. What? Yeah. I'm selfish. I want more. When it comes to great art, I just want more and more and more. So I can have 10 volumes of this on my shelf, and I would want more.
The Kickstarter actually launches next week.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
The new Not Safe for Work post-apocalyptic graphic novel from award-winning artist James Edward Clark. So yeah. And that image actually is from the mini comic that he sent us when we got.
I was going to say I know. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
James Edward Clark, the man who will draw anything for $50.
Well, maybe not now. Still,
that's his shtick. That's his social media stick. I'll draw anything for $50.
Wow. I think you're selling yourself short there, my man. But hey, you do. I know you do what you do. You gonna buy art in New York?
We'll see. Probably not. I mean, I didn't set anything up. I'm not setting.
You know what you should buy in New York? When we're all together, a new microphone.
I know.
Yeah, because it's getting. I need to hear your words, and I don't get to hear all of them with this thing. So you need to get you a new microphone. And maybe
it's the computer, dude.
I don't know. Is it?
Yeah.
Well,
it's all ever since I got this new phone.
Desktop, it's coming.
Jesus.
Get a fucking Dell, like I did, $200 and some bucks. Little piece of shit.
I have a Dell. That's what I'm using. I have a Dell.
You have a Dell?
Yeah, she's trapped.
What do you feed her?
Whatever she wants, man.
Seriously. She'll put you through a wall, though. You mess with her, Adele, like knock your shit out.
Well, she'll write a song about you.
That's okay.
I know.
Yeah. All right. So, thank you very much, Matt King, for doing this. Let's talk about... I
have an awesome metal bookmark with the crop out of our D-Dubs pinup from the second line.
Oh, I used the Megatrip Sucks thing. That's autographed. With the approved stamp on it. Didn't you get one of them with this book?
No, because I fucked up and missed the cutoff of backing it by about 20 minutes.
Oh, because it's personalized. Mine says,
"Yo,
I
know.
Vince
I
B."
know. So he we connected, and I bought it through Matt, and because he had extra copies, obviously, because I wanted it, he wanted me to have it. I absolutely had to get it. So knowing that that I screwed up. Even though we were joking about it, and you know he let us know ahead of time when it was about to be announced and all this other jazz, and I still dropped the ball bigly. So it's but he hooked the brother up, and I have a really cool metal bookmark. Nothing personalized, which is fine because I love this book and I love this bookmark.
Did you know King Megatrip loves you?
I do know that.
He does, and all life is suffering. Well, we knew that.
Yeah, we did.
The trick is in mediating the suffering with joy, and that's what we just did.
That's what we do every week.
Yeah. What else do we have, gentlemen?
I was really hoping to get my hands on the second issue of Conan the Barbarian, but my shop did not get the copy.
Oh no!
Yeah, so I'll hopefully it's coming, but so I didn't get to read that. All I had from the shop today was Rick and Morty #8, and you were right because $4.99 had extra pages and was $4.99, and this week
so I'm saying
it's regular size.
And every issue moving forward, miniseries, one shot. One shots are always $4.99 or more, like they're $5.99 sometimes.
Yeah.
But Oni did a little not so nice dance and upped the page count of one issue of Rick and Morty. Previously $3.99, they made the exercise issue $4.99. Now they dropped it back to the regular page count and kept the price. Yeah. I'll still pay $5 for it because I think it's worth it. But I mean, we've seen that happen. Yeah. DC did that. Marvel did that. Come on. But back then it was only like a quarter or 50 cents a jump. This is $1.
It's $1.
We can afford it though. Jason.
Yes.
I need to talk about Ice Cream Man number 36.
Yeah, I need you to talk about it just so that
really?
Stop wanting to talk about it. I got to hear what it's about. I didn't read the issue, but I know that he's been waiting for you to. So
there's a whale in it.
I know why he
wanted the central part of the story.
Yeah. I'm not going to pretend that I have sussed out every inkling of concept in this story, symbolism, metaphor. I don't pretend to understand completely what went on in this issue or what it means in the cosmological sense, but as a surface level story, it was very entertaining. I know there is more to it. Obviously, it is Ice Cream Man. There's a lot more in the series than surface, but written by W. Maxwell Prince, with art by Martin Morazzo. Chris O'Halloran did the color. And then he said, this is issue 36. Like all of the issues before it, most of the issues before it, this is a one-and-done story. Sometimes they plug into the grand narrative, sometimes they don't. I don't know where this goes in the giant Ice Cream Man puzzle. But it's a story of a man named Winslow, a fisherman. Poor guy. And he's cold and he's distant. He's very reserved. He does love, but he's not quick to show it. He doesn't express the fact to those who are the recipients of what he considers love, right? Unfortunately, he lost his daughter, Amelia. Took her out fishing with him, and she was swallowed by a whale. So he's obsessed with getting his daughter back and goes out in a little rickety one-man boat and halves at the whale and finds himself in the belly of the beast, where he meets a peg-legged seaman and Pinocchio. Okay? Now, I get the whole Pinocchio whale association, but as to why Pinocchio is with a peg-leg seaman, it turns out that escape from the whale is very, very dangerous and only possible through the beast's blowhole. And even if you do get out, right, chances are very good you're going to die because you'll be jettisoned into the vastness of the sea. Where are you going to go? You can only tread water for so long. If you don't have something that floats, you're dead. right? And the whole time, the peg-leg seaman in Pinocchio, they're talking about the Baroness. You got to meet the Baroness. The Baroness would have it this way. And there's a scene with, remember, we're in the belly of a whale. There's a scene with naked people in bathtubs. How did you interpret that sequence, Jason? Because I don't know. I'm struggling to see what, or to even approximate what Prince was saying with this.
Well, I couldn't tell you, man. I mean, I this is my first Ice Cream Man I've ever read, so
It doesn't matter because this is not tied to anything.
But it wasn't clear to me reading it though. Like I there were a lot of weird things, and I didn't know if that was like just his vibe in general, or if it was supposed to be some kind of like recurring ideas that go throughout his book. But yeah, the bathtub people, I don't know what the point of that is, I guess.
Well, I mean, you can go down the chain. You're naked, you're exposed. There's no secrets when you have no clothes on, right? You're left wide open, so to speak, to eyes other than your own. But in a bathtub, are they being cleansed somehow? Is it a like a metaphorical process for purging bad? I don't know. There's a ship within the beast. Like there's a cruise ship that has ran aground. It's like, how does a cruise ship fit in a whale? And I know there's always an edge of surrealism to his stories, but in the end, I don't want to spoil it for those who haven't read it, but things are revealed and escapes are made, and there's really not. If the goal was to create this pocket universe of bleakness, then this issue succeeds, because from the get-go, the colors are very muted. Every color has gray in it. The light of the sun is reflected from the moon, and that's it. Like there's no sunshine in this book. Very, and oddly enough, there is a semblance of light within the belly of the whale, but only during one, I think, very crucial scene where I don't think it was happenstance that when something is revealed, the light shines on it. Like that, symbolically, that makes sense. But as to what was it, his folly that was exposed? Was it his misdeeds in letting her get swallowed by the whale in the first place? Was it the fact that he didn't show the girl love that brought him to this position? Like, there's so many things in this story that it's not that they don't add up, but that I can't decipher where they fall in the schematic, or even if they're important at all. Like, it's very you can interpret this issue many different ways depending on where you're coming from. On the surface, a guy screwed up and his daughter got swallowed by a whale and he's going to get her back. That's simple. But there's also the Moby Dick aspect to it too, where he is consumed with this whale, like to the expense of everything else in the world. He needs to find this whale and get his daughter back. And when he gets there, the resolution is not what he expected, which I guess is appropriate, because in this world, what is? Right? When we put so much mental energy into desiring a thing, when we get the thing, does it always meet our expectations? More often than not, no, it doesn't. So, but food for thought for $3.99. I mean, this issue will have you mulling it over for a while. Like, I'm still thinking about it, and the reason why I shoved it under Jason's nose was because the whale. We all know Jason loves the whale. Is center to this story. And I would like to know your interpretation of this issue.
I mean, I didn't take it as that deep, dude, honestly. Like, again, maybe because I'm not as familiar with the guy's work. I mean, I thought it was his... I mean, it's a horror... This is a horror anthology, right? Like, it's
more often than not, yeah.
Yeah. So I took it to be that even with the title of the issue, I thought it was his play on the idea. Some reason...
I don't want things spelled out for me. I like my mind to wander and try and associate, like, what is going on here? What is he saying? What could be the underlying meanings, if anything, from this? Because not everything has to mean something, right? And I thought this issue was wonderful, but do I know the inner workings of this weird machine? No, not really. I know some of it. I can tell you, I can approximate parts of the process, but other than that, like all of the issues, you can go back and reread them and find other stuff that you missed, or maybe depending on your mindset at the time, which is very important. You can't go into Ice Cream Man on a bad day, or you're morose, or you're a little bit downbeat, and it's not going to happen, because there are things in here that are just seeds. Whether or not they grow into some kind of a plant is another thing. But Jason's having microphone issues, so he's not going to reply to my question, because he can't. At least not without being shredded. So I'm going to take it, and you can grunt and say yes or no. I'm going to take it that this issue didn't really win you over to the magic of Ice Cream Man. I will take that as a correct. Because he texted it. I still think you could try and talk. You don't have to say silent for the whole episode.
I'm going to knock on the top of the desk to answer yes or no.
Playing the role of Jason Wood this episode is Yul Gibbons. Thank you for coming, Mr. Gibbons. All right, so Dap, what do you have?
What do I have? I continuing the Mark Miller kick. Read Big Game number 2, which I'm not going to get into, but I also finished the 4th Magic Order series. Just that finally wrapped up, and I also got through Nightclub in pretty quick order. I didn't love it. I don't know if you read it yet, Vince, so I'm not going to go.
It's way down the bottom of my stack. Not because I'm not enthused to read it. It's just I have so much stuff to read.
I wanted to read it so this way I could see, and they're on the cover of the 3rd issue of Big Game, along with another earlier Miller piece, Miller property. But so I wanted to see. I basically just wanted to get the Miller written books that are probably going to tie into Big Game somehow. So I wanted to make sure that I at least was kind of up to date. It was Nightclub is fine. I he kind of zigged a little bit with some of the vampire tropes that I would have expected to go a different route, and I'm glad he didn't. And he didn't really kind of get bogged down too much. I mean, some of it was maybe silly, like the kids are going to school because during the day, obviously because they're vampires, but the excuse is that COVID made them like basically allergic to sunlight, and so instead of getting too into the woods about that and trying to explain things, it's said quickly so we can move on and get to the rest of the story. And there were some neat twists and turns. I just the characters for the most part didn't really keep me. Maybe I enjoyed them at the start, I think, of the story more than as we neared the end of it. If that makes sense. But I do have some theories regarding the big game, which, I mean, we're only a third of the way into it, so there's no point in going too deep on it. But I did like the conclusion for of the Magic Order of book 4, and I think we're getting another book. But I enjoyed those because, again, I want to get to the big game. But one thing that I read that I tried on a whim because you mentioned it, actually, Vince, a bunch of weeks ago. But the 4-issue miniseries, Groot, was really fun. I dug it a lot. It's written by Dan Abnett, art by Damien Couceiro, Couou.
I think it's Couceiro.
Okay, I like that. That makes more sense. Color by Matt Milla. It's a retcon story. It's a young sapling, Groot, and two of Groot's buddies, and they are that basically Private Marvel, who we eventually would get to know as Captain Marvel or Marvel. He's in this story, and there's also a Centurion Hunter named her name is Yondar, not to be confused with Yondu. So if you're a Guardians fan, there's a lot that you'll dig in these 4 issues. But it's a pretty cool story, and it doesn't it's not all that heavy, but it basically, with the ongoing Guardians of the Galaxy comic, we haven't seen Groot much, so this kind of at least tides you over, because the end of the 4th issue lets you know that the following issue of Guardians that comes out after this series, Groot returns, or at least makes an appearance. So there's a little bit of just some connective tissue there. But I just this wasn't, like I said, it's not. You don't have to worry about anything else going on in the Marvel Universe with this particular story. It doesn't insult your intelligence for you Marvel fans, like it did with the Return back during the Civil War days. But I liked it a lot. I didn't know what to expect, but it was pretty fun. I think the collected edition was solicited, I think, well, it's in the August previews. But I think I like that it wasn't really connected to anything going on right this minute. Now, whether or not Lansing and Jackson will borrow something that Abnett put in this series and it'll appear in their Guardians book, I can't say. But as far as just telling a cute little Groot story, this ticked the boxes. I did enjoy it quite a bit. Surprisingly, more than I expected to. I thought it was kind of just. I thought I'd read an issue and either get back to it maybe, or just even see if it would bother sticking with me. But it actually did. I found myself wanting to. After I read the first 3 issues, I found myself waiting for the 4th so that I could finish it and see how things wrapped up. But I definitely recommend it if you dig the Marvel Cosmic stuff. Cool. Although this kind of basically takes place mostly on Planet X and on a Kree ship here or there. It's not like it's a very star-spanning type of story. But it's if if you just want to read something that just kind of feels a little old timey in spots too. I mean, like older Marvel type stories, but I liked it a lot. I would definitely recommend checking out the collected edition if you can, or if you get the 4 issues, that's cool too. But the art's cool, the story's nifty, and I wouldn't mind seeing other stories like this. Maybe not necessarily with Groot, but I wouldn't mind seeing stories with basically a very young, very green, very unseasoned Marvel. He's always been a favorite of mine, but his claim to fame is that he died.
Well, I was just going to say, yeah, it's like the Laura Palmer syndrome. It's like, she's not sticking around. So Fire Walk with Me, what are we doing? Well, I don't get it.
I know, Starlin wrote that story because his dad died of cancer. It was cathartic and therapeutic and personal, and it is very it's a sad story, but it's still really well done, and I'm glad that I like that particular story kicked off the Marvel graphic novel line. But yeah, I just, so if I can read some older Marvel stories, I'll gladly do that. I mean, I checked this out because, like I said, Vince mentioned it, but the name of the book is Groot, and he's front and center, and it's just like, Marvel just happens to kind of just be hanging around for the ride, which is cool. I like that a lot. So if we get to see either Marvel in another type of story, or teaming up with Groot later on, I'd be down for that as well. But this was neat. Although I did, and connected to absolutely nothing, I was a little bummed when I was at the shop and I flipped through Marvel Age 1000, and it is not a magazine.
No, it's not.
It's an anthology. I'm like, what the hell are you doing?
Makes no sense. Makes no sense. Yeah. I don't understand it. I really don't. I guess it's just to perpetuate the name. Yeah. What else reason could it? Right. It's silly. It should be text based and show, like, have an interview with Dan Abnett. Hey, what are you working on? What's coming? Exactly. Like, they should have coordinated it to actually. I probably wouldn't have sold, I'm guessing, if they did it. But like, when Marvel Age is one of those magazines that's very, very near and dear to my heart.
Same.
For a number of reasons. Hembeck not being the least of which. But it was one of those things that you can look forward to every month, pre-internet, to see what was coming down, what was going to be available in your Marvel future. And yeah, it was a company propaganda magazine. So what? But it made you excited to see these things, or that you knew these things were coming, and you got to see process images like sketches and costume designs and all that stuff, and maybe a page or two from the thing that's coming up. It was cheap. What was it? To a quarter when they started, and then it went up to 50. Whatever. I love Marvel Age. I have an entire run. I wouldn't part with it for anything. And
I rescue issues every time we come across them in the bins.
Right, yeah. But to name something Marvel Age and have it just be an anthology, like, it's nonsensical. Like, what are you guys thinking? I don't understand it. But anyway, just to get back to the Groot, I co-sign everything you say. I think Couceiro's work is remarkable on this book.
Yeah.
He's the reason why I opened the first issue to begin with. When I saw his name attached to it, I was like, okay, I'm going to read this. Do I need more Groot in my life? I like Groot as a character. No, I do. Who doesn't like Groot? He, by design, he appeals to many, many people. And so, yeah, he's fun. I'll read this. But Couceiro at the helm, Abnett's a wonderful writer. almost, in part responsible for the Guardians of the Galaxy as we know them right now. When you have one of the creators of the second wave of Guardians of the Galaxy, the popular wave, and Groot and Damien Couceiro on art, I'm going to read it. But the Marvel angle was just like the icing on the cake.
Yeah,
that was really neat. In a time before he was Captain Marvel, which is really smart because then you're beholden to zero continuity. You can do whatever you want.
Yep.
Unless you're gonna mangle the character to the point where he jumps to the field. Like you don't want to do stuff like that. But yeah, I thought this issue was, or the series as a whole, was 4 issues, was entirely worthwhile. It was a lot of fun, well worth the time I expended on it. Yeah. Unlike, I'm not going to talk about this book much, other than to let you know it exists and to stay away from it.
Ooh.
Yes. I read Action Comics Presents Doomsday Special.
Oh, yeah, it's coming in the next box.
I won't tell you much about it other than it's horrible. Absolutely horrible. The bright light in it is Supergirl. I like how she's portrayed in this book. I like the costume. She's a blonde, and it works for me. I think it's smart. In this day and age, to not have to reduce a female character to skirt. Mm-hmm. Right? I think the new costume is really smart. There's no boob window. Yes, there are parts of this issue where she's drawn in a very attractive manner. Well, that's okay.
Supergirl or Power Girl?
Isn't that Supergirl?
No, they're two separate characters.
Well, she's got the crest, the Superman S on, and she's got the blue and red.
Well, that's So Power Girl still wears a white outfit. So this may be Supergirl.
No, it's Supergirl. Yeah, it's Supergirl.
All right.
And
because you said boob window, and
there's no boob window.
Right. Okay.
Is what I'm saying. You don't, just because a character has breasts doesn't mean you need to give a bird's eye view of them, right? I think the costume is very smart. Smartly designed. I'll tell you who was responsible for this thing. It was Dan Waters wrote it. Eddie Barrows and Iber Ferreira drew it.
Does it at least look good?
Oh yeah, I think it looks good.
Okay.
Yeah, Adriano Lucas did the colors. No, the art's fine. I mean, Clark is suitably proportioned and handsome. There's really nothing.
Waters. There's no. It's like I don't even know if Waters was born when Doomsday killed Superman. It's weird that of everybody that DC has on hand, that is connected to Doomsday in one way or another.
Well,
Doomsday's
that's weird. The majority of the story takes place in hell, and not a realm that is totally removed from Superman. He has gone there before. But I just don't understand why you have to reduce Doomsday to this. It just did not do a damn thing for me. Like, I don't need to see Doomsday in hell. I don't want to ruin it, but remember when Doomsday was banging on the cell door?
Mm-hmm.
There's something like that in here.
Okay.
And I didn't appreciate it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. You got to know where I'm coming from. Doomsday's like my favorite villain.
Yeah, I know.
And it's, I just think it was ill-conceived. Martian Manhunter's in it. It's not badly written. I just don't like the idea of Doomsday being in hell, looked upon as this infernal force. He's just a super-powered rage,
force of destruction.
Yeah, he shouldn't be anything other than a giant hammer. You don't need to attribute some mystical mumbo jumbo to him, or he's just a monster that quote killed Superman. That's all you need to know. He's rage. I don't know. I don't want to shit on the book, but it was not for me. Really wasn't. Like, it looks good, and a lot of it reads really well. It's just that one thing that they did soured it for me. Cover's nice. Cover's real nice. Yeah. I guess John Bogdanove did a cover. I didn't see that. But it says here that the 1 in 50 variant was
wow,
John Bogdanove. I'd love to see Bogdanove come back to comics full time. Then if Bogdanove came back to Superman, like, I would buy it. I don't care who wrote it. I would buy it. If Bogdanove was doing the art, shit.
Love it. Yeah.
But anyway, it's a trifle, I guess, and I'm making much ado probably about nothing, but.
Well, you're not the only Doomsday fan. I mean, hell, if you were, they wouldn't have published a book. So.
Well, I mean, okay, I don't want to spoil it, but it's just the hallway leading to something else. It's not done. It's not over. There's something coming. Yeah.
Well, I know that last month, or again in August, the DC had they're doing a 30th anniversary death or reign of Superman, and you got so I mean I saw the creators. You got Jurgens, you got Weezy, you got so I didn't bother with any of the variant covers.
Yeah.
I wanted, I'm getting whatever cover, whatever the A cover is, but at least, knowing that the people who were there when the story was first told, that's something I'll support. So, am I worried after reading that, Death of Superman anniversary special from a few months back, and now you're telling me about the Doomsday special? I'm not, I may not be as optimistic as I would have been, but I'm still, it's Superman written by the people who were having us buy it every week. So I'm a fool.
Right. No, that's a good reason to buy it. But yeah, I just hate to sound like a downer, but I have expectations for Doomsday.
Right.
Doomsday is the exclamation point at the end of the sentence. It transforms everything before it into a different thing, right? And so you see that exclamation point. Now excite, right? Maybe I'm just too. He's my sacred cow, right? We all have them, and I just didn't think it was a fitting anything for Doomsday. Whatever. It's only my opinion. Read it. Maybe you'll like it. I don't want to dissuade anybody from buying it because the art's really nice. Good. Yeah.
Well, it's Barrows. I would hope so.
Yeah, I like Eddie Barrows, and yeah. So there we go. So let's bring this bad boy home. Jason is AWOL. He's not going to be able to contribute, nor should he, because if I totally get where he's coming from. If all my dialogue was choppy and shit, I wouldn't want to speak either. So hopefully we get this rectified ASAP. Jason said, "Fuck this Dell."
All caps.
Yeah, he doesn't usually do all caps, does he? He means it. He means it. Remember who brought this to you. It is a product of cheapgraphicnovels.com. Cheapgraphicnovels.com. They have all the stuff you want at the price you want to pay. And remember, you make an order. Place an order. And you'll get an email confirmation saying, thank you for ordering from cheapgraphicnovels.com. You're going to reply to that email saying, you know what, I would never have known about this beautiful place if it was not for 11 O'Clock Comics. And Max will hit you up with free shipping on your next order. Insanity. Just go there, cheapgraphicnovels.com. While you're at it, check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/11 O'Clock Comics, 11, no apostrophe. Lots of things shaking down there. And if you didn't already know, we are on the YouTube. Yep. Every episode, in addition to being available at your local podcatching apps or whatever you want to call them, you can listen to us on YouTube. You can click the video and play us as you go to sleep. There you go. It's an amazing world in which we live. So yeah, YouTube, we have a channel. Go check it out. But if you listen to it, I don't know, however you like it. I like to listen to some stuff during the day while I'm working on YouTube. I'm obsessed with old Art Bell episodes. So that's what I do all day long, listen to Art Bell. And there are channels that have nothing but Art Bell. Well, we have nothing but 11 o'clock comics. So if you like this and you want to listen to it at work, go on the YouTube. It's there.
There you go.
And your travels. I was going to call this the perfect Godzilla comic, but Godzilla's not in it. Yeah, okay. It is the recently published, came out today, issue of Godzilla Rivals. This one is focusing on Spacegodzilla. And it was written and drawn by my boo, Matt Frank. To say this issue is beautiful is an understatement. This is one of the most visually arresting Godzilla comic to come out of IDW. The art is absolutely astonishing, groundbreaking. Like, I followed Matt through his entire career, right? He was on, what was that Godzilla run, Saviors of Earth or whatever it was called. And his issues, in addition to Jeff Zornow's issues, were the reason why that book was so great. And yet Matt was still finding his visual voice back then. He was very good, but there were still areas of his style that needed to be fleshed out a little more or embellished or just plain cultivated, right? This, Matt Frank, oh my goodness, he is a heavy hitter. I would say he's the heaviest of hitters when it comes to kaiju. This issue is unbelievable. The visuals will knock you on your ass. And that's what a Godzilla or a kaiju comic should do, right? You should open the page and just be like gobsmacked at just the power, the energy, the kineticism. It is ridiculous. This book is just flat out ridiculous. It's just a story about Spacegodzilla and encounters of its. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. If you're a kaiju fan and you don't know about this, I would run right out and buy it, because it is, as a single issue, it's done in one. The Godzilla Rivals thing is a loose anthology of focusing on the foes of Godzilla, right? Some of them have been great, some of them not so much. This one is definitely the best in this run. It is, if you stacked up all of the Godzilla comics that came out of IDW, Wachter's up there, Zornow, but this may be
Stoko.
Well, yeah, Stoko too. Yeah. But there's something about Matt's style. If you know the guy or you follow him on social media, he absolutely lives and breathes kaiju. He's a super fan. That's why he draws this stuff. And the love that he has for the genre and the creatures therein is apparent on every single line. So go out, get Godzilla Rivals. It's called Versus Spacegodzilla, but it's just Spacegodzilla. And it's $7.99, but it's more pages, and it's absolutely worth every penny of it. It's perfect.
Perfect.
It's perfect.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't want to say something about 11 o'clockers because Jason will say I say it every episode. And you know what? There's some truth in that. But this issue demands recognition. It is absolutely astounding. I love it. I love it all. Yeah.
When I posted this week's new releases, and I did see that as I was going through the books that I'm looking forward to this week, I was hoping I'd hear about this because the title of it alone intrigued me. So
yeah. Well, I mean, Godzilla's in his DNA's in it, but Godzilla per se is not in it. So
this is just gonna be quick because I'm not gonna go too deep. It's a couple things I've just been catching up on. First by Tatsuki Fujimoto, I've been catching up on Chainsaw Man thanks to the Shonen Jump app and on Viz's website. I've been catching up on Dandadan by Yukinobu Tatsu, and both are still extremely enjoyable. A lot of fun. Yeah. I have a blast with both of them. They are absolutely two of my favorite mangas at the moment, and we've said it before, but it really is a fantastic bargain. You can't beat this deal if you haven't already. Definitely sign up with the Viz site, because you just get so much for so little. It's insane, and both of these books, both of these stories, fantastic art, but they just have some insanely interesting characters, and I can't. It's weird because I'll read like chapter after chapter. I'll just sit there and I'll keep swiping the pages, and then either I'll be up to date, and then it's like, because there's anything new to read, it's like out of sight, out of mind almost, and then I have like, weeks or months to catch up on again. So it's a good feeling to have, but because it is weekly, it's easy to catch up, depending on how long you let them sit unread. But when I am in the mood and I just barrel through a bunch, it's absolutely a good time. And from Jason, in your travels, read Proof That the Devil Loves You by Gilbert Hernandez. It's his latest in the Fruits movie series, and according to Jason, is delightful. Vignettes of different B movies that our buxom beauty starred in.
Yeah, I think when you're talking Fritz, buxom is an understatement. Yeah. Massively memorized. Yeah. Balloonsome. Yes, balloonsome is a good word. So there you go, people. Hope you enjoyed this. Come back next time, because we'll be waiting here for you with some kind of tasty treat. Oh my God, she has to shit while I'm going into the home stretch. Yeah, we'll have some tasty treat for you, because we love you so much. In the meantime, get thee to a comic shop, buy something we talked about, go to the Etsy thing, get the Tales to Enlighten New Testament, read them, talk about them, love your family and your pets, get something good to eat and drink, and say good night. David.
Jesus.
I love this guy.
Right.
Do it again. There's so much joy in this video.
David, right there.
Nice.
That's the best.
Perfect. All right.
That's like those videos where someone's just talking and her friend starts laughing and she's got like that hoarse laugh. Like,
yeah.
It kills me every fucking time.
You're gonna think I'm like ancient. You know what I love on YouTube? I'm sure you've seen those channels that have uplifting videos that restore your faith in humanity. Like a guy comes home from the service and his dog just goes absolutely ape shit. Or I love those videos. Mm-hmm. Like I'll sit there watching the damn thing and just cry like a goofball. And the kids are just like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, this stuff is beautiful. It's great. Yeah. Or somebody goes up to a transient person on the street and just gives them money or takes them a jacket. Yeah, I know some of it is set up to get views. I get it. But I like where it's coming from. Yep. I really do. So there you go. All right, everybody. We love you so much. So much. And we'll see you next time. Tell them you love them. Tell them you love them.
Love them.
There you go.
Love them with anger.
That's it for that one.